What's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Thursday night and the pilot episode of the highly anticipated CW comic book adaptation, Riverdale. We have so many questions, among them, what happened at Sweetwater Lake at 6 a.m.? I guess we know now. We want to know the full mystery. We're going to break down the whole thing for you guys, and we'll see you in just 1 second.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Guys?
I am in love with this show. It's
so good.
Kind of everything to me. And I'm glad we got to watch it together for the first time. Because your reactions were priceless. It was There was a lot of like, oh no, and how could she's very heavy high school drama. I like
Big
it.
time, yeah. This is my first time on a panel with either of you lovely ladies.
Hello,
This is
Beth.
exciting.
We are big fangirls over here. We have a lot of opinions, and
So
I
many
think we both
opinions.
loved it.
I
Yeah.
fanboy out pretty hard, so I'm going to try to hold my own on this side of the table. Guys, let's introduce the panel. My name is Ben Bateman. I'll be your host on this side of the table, joined by two lovely co-host ladies. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
You guys can find me, Sam Davidson, at samdavidsonentertainment.com, Twitter and Instagram at samd43, and me and Joelle are hitting up this live chat, and we are just trying to keep up with you guys, and we are so excited about
Hello,
all
everyone.
you have to say.
I like that after the pilot, I've already seen like 27 like fan theories. Like you guys are 100% in it, and that's gonna make this a really exciting show for us.
I am so
seriously.
excited.
Yeah, so guys, if you want to follow on the conversation with me as well, you can find me at Ben Bateman Media on Twitter and Instagram. Let's jump in. Let's just jump straight into the show. So it seems like we all have kind of just a general, this show is effing awesome kind of feel. What did this show bring out for you guys? Like, what did this feel like watching to you as a pilot?
Oh man, I got some Wisteria Lane feels in there. I got some Twin Peaks in that opening. Sam definitely turned to me and was like, "It's Twin Peaks!"
Yeah.
Because of the sign and the small town stuff and the narrator. So that was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I read that it was going to be similar to Twin Peaks, which I thought was kind of odd. But it's coming back too, and Machen Amick, who is also in the show, is in Twin Peaks, and so I'm excited. I got a lot of Vampire Diaries feels, and I know you two don't watch it, but
We
I know
do not.
a lot of you fans out there are watching Vampire Diaries and watch our after show, and it's ending in like 6 episodes. So I feel like this is taking my heart from the Vampire Diaries to this show, and I cannot wait.
For the CW, I guess it's true. This is like their new dark kind of drama.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I got a little bit of like the OC. That was like what this felt like. And it's definitely
Yes.
like weirder and creepier than the OC, because the OC was pretty like cornbread in a lot of ways.
But with the parent storylines mixed in with the kids and
Yeah.
love and sexy like mess, then yeah, I see it.
And you have like the class differences between like the rich kids and you're right. So like I think that stuff all kind of played there. I really, 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 really liked Archie. I thought that was just a home run casting for me. So far, I was just like, it's so hard to be the guy that leads a show. I mean,
Sure.
it's so difficult to do that. So much is put on your shoulders. You can't be too polarizing. You sort of have to be exactly in the middle for audiences if you're going to anchor a show for a long time. And I really got the feeling that he is going to be able to do that correctly.
He fits the hero role pretty well. He reminds me of Luke Skywalker in that, like, he's a sweet, innocent boy. Well, he's not that innocent. But he's a sweet kid that you can kind of, is a good intro to the town and to the community. And I like that they've set it up not to be the Archie show, but to be a show about Riverdale.
Right.
Yes, and of course, Dylan, I'm sorry, Luke is his father.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Just talking about them by first names because
Yes.
I know everybody. That's his father, though, you know, Luke Perry.
Yeah.
That
true.
is amazing to me because I watched 90210 growing up.
Yeah.
And my babysitter let me, and she lied to my parents. So
Awesome.
Very
Somebody
excited about
said
it.
the other day that they felt very old because how could Luke Perry play someone's dad on a
Right.
TV show? And I was like, that's fair. But he's still hunky as hell, so I don't really see a problem with it. I'm kind of happy. And he did a really good job. He felt fatherly.
he did.
And he didn't
He did.
feel like sometimes they hire like too young. They cast too young for dads, and you're like, yeah, he's hot, but like I don't believe that there's the father-son relationship there. And it worked here.
To be totally fair, they like put the facial hair on him and they gave him like a dad look. If he had gone clean shaven
Yeah.
and like just like they'd taken his shirt off at some point, he could have played like 31 easy.
Yeah.
Easily.
You know
I
what I mean?
thought
totally.
they gave him some wrinkles that weren't there.
Yeah.
I will say.
Definitely.
And that just proves how good that he looks.
So let's just go down the line and start this one off. We got introduced to a ton of characters in this first episode. A couple classic Archie characters that we didn't see show up, but almost every one of the classics did show up at least for a second. So I think let's just count them off and kind of get a feeling how we felt about each one, because I think that'll kind of tie the story together.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the big one, Archie. They've decided to make him a musician, and in the classic comics, he did play the guitar.
But
he
sugar,
wasn't
sugar,
good.
do do
Yeah.
do do do. Now he had a #1 hit song. Come on, guys.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, I don't know, you were never like Archie, like heartthrob, like teen sensation guitar player.
This is true. He was in a local high school band. He certainly wasn't a genius. But if you're reading the Fiona Staple Mark Waid comic, which came out in 2015, what's really cool is the story's almost exactly lifted, except with a little bit twist here. In the comic, it's Archie wants to play Jughead. Has to finagle some things so that he can play with a specific band, and it's not Josie and the Pussycats. But you get a lot of the similar storylines that were picked up here from this new comic, and the new comics are great. They are completely revamped. They introduced Kevin in the new comic, so for those of you who maybe are only familiar with the original comic series, you're like, who is this gay kid, Kevin?
Totally. Yeah.
Kevin in the comic book series originally came out, he's a soldier, and then he's the senator. And in Life After Archie, where Archie sacrifices himself so that Kevin's about to be assassinated. Archie jumps in front of the bullet. They're like best buds in the comics, and they're amazing. So I really like that they're mixing a lot of the old with the new. You got some Archiekins lines in there, which was great.
Yeah, right, the Archiekins, that was good.
Yeah.
That was classic.
Yeah, that's me. I mean, I grew up reading art, like my brothers read comic books, and I was like, I'll read Archie.
I read like the digests. Like I'm like admittedly on a lot of panels. I do a lot of comic book shows, and comic books are my jam. I have like 6,000 comics in my mom's basement. I read a lot of Archie digests, and I remember that like it was always like you had a lot of just like basic Archie and Archie whatever, like deluxe or the thicker ones.
Yeah.
But then like if you ever could come across the kind of the rare ones, like just like Veronica comics or like Jughead comics, that was always like a lot more exciting because they were way more rare. And so I gotta say, this felt nothing like the comics that I remember reading as a kid. Archie was pretty corny. Like that was kind of the
He was like a I don't know.
Which is so funny to me because I was introduced to Archie from the new series, but then I would read the very original series. And in the original series, Archie's like a bad kid. No, he's like a bad kid. Like he just gets into all these crazy hijinks, and you're like, Archie, sit down. Like you feel like he maybe needs some medication. Like he's just all over the place and just causing trouble. And then as you move forward to the 50s and 60s Archie, you get the tame, more boy next door, more Leave It to Beaver style Archie, who's like, I just want to help everybody. So Archie's had a lot of iterations. He was in like a Christian Archie where he travels around with Jesus and gets like parables. Archie's Parables is a literal comic you can buy, and it's fabulous.
Joelle, I am so glad you're on this panel because I have no idea about any of those. All I knew is like the dud Archie.
Yeah, right.
That's just like blue, 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 whatever. These blonde and brunette, I can't decide.
He's basically like Ron Howard in American Graffiti. That's like basically his character. He's like the classic. Yeah. So let's start with him, and then let's just kind of go because I think most of every character pivots from Archie.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about Luke Perry. His dad, Fred Andrews, owns the construction company. Kind of wants to groom Archie to football sends you to college goes to business school.
From Archie's perspective.
Yes. No, his dad's. Oh no. Didn't his dad say it to him?
His dad.
Football gets you business school. Business school gets you music back
his dad's
here.
like, this was the plan, right? And then this what you wanted to do. And I think Archie feels more like, you were making me do this. I don't have choice because he's a teenager. He's melodramatic.
It was a great scene though with the two of them.
Yeah,
that was a really, really good scene, and
I did think it established like a difference between perhaps what the comics necessarily said and what this said. It's like this dad wants him to do well.
Right.
He just doesn't want him to lie anymore.
Right, but not Betty's mom. Alice Cooper. She seems like a disaster.
Machen Amick, who I love. We love here dearly at AfterBuzz TV. We've interviewed her. I have a couple times. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan of hers.
She's great in this. She's very evil.
Yes.
So you have Fred Andrews. Then you're going to go to the girls. You have Betty and Veronica.
Yes.
So two of the classic characters. They did a great job. That first scene was so wonderful in the malt shop as Veronica walks up and Archie just zones out. I gotta say, so I told you guys this beforehand, but I actually got to read for the role of Archie when they were casting this, and I don't.
So cool.
Yeah, so I don't act anymore ever. Like I haven't acted in years. I host and I do a lot of podcasting. But years ago when I first moved to LA, I auditioned for Rappaport, the guy who cast the show. for 90210 for the reboot. So 7 years ago. And I read like 5 times for David on shows. Just I would basically go in as like Jock 1 or Jock 2 or something like that. It was always the same thing. It was like wear like a tight black t-shirt. And then I stopped acting. I didn't hear from him for 5 years. And I have a commercial agent still, and I got the sides for this, came across, they sent me an email. They're like, hey, we got a call from David's office. He wants you to read for Archie. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't even do that anymore, but I play guitar and I sing, so I brought my guitar in, and I played a couple songs, and I like tried to dress like a teenager, you know, I like put on the hoodie and the jacket and the jeans and the whole thing. But I was going to say, the script has not changed at all. In that first scene, when he's talking to Betty about he wants to play music, is word for word.
How long ago was that?
Had to have been 6-8 months ago, maybe.
I do see it. He had a good point, Rappaport. There.
Yeah. Sure.
He got you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he's a good dude.
A couple things from the chat. Wolf and Thief, you're right. It was the 70s that came out. That we had the Jesus Archie Comics stuff. And then some fangirls were earlier like, oh, but Ben sings, and they were really excited about it.
That's nice.
Oh my God, can we have you sing this season? We'll figure it out, guys.
Okay, yeah,
We're going to have Ben come in
out.
and play Archie for us. And then the other thing that's really blowing up in the chat as we move through our characters here is Ms. Grundle. If you guys, again, have read the comics, Grundle's like a really old lady
Yeah,
in the
she's got
comics.
glasses, and she's so she's, for lack of a better phrase, smoking hot. I was like totally like...
So inappropriate, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, that might be like, I was like, that's kind of maybe my crush of the show. I was like, she's just great. And they did it.
Archie's crush too. What do you know?
They like just like did it right. I was like, man, she totally looks like the teacher, like exactly. I thought she was cast perfectly. And I was during the show, I was just gonna tweet at her and be like, great performance in the show, and she's not on Twitter. So there you go.
Well, to me, I was like, okay, who else does Archie need? Now there's 3?
Yeah, right.
I can't have 3.
Yeah.
I can't have 3.
I do know earlier that Archie is complaining, like, he's like, I just want this one teacher. And I'm like, you could pick literally anyone in that high school is ready to just jump you. Like, there's not a limit to who you could have sex with.
So let's take a guess really quickly, unless somebody in the chat knows this. So they're all supposed to be about 16, right? Ish?
Yeah.
They're sophomore.
Yeah.
So how old is she supposed to be in the show? Is she supposed to be 32?
No.
Younger?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think I think that she's probably in her 20s.
Really? I was going to guess mid-30s.
To make it less creepy, but...
I mean, if you think about being a kid in high school and your teachers all seem like grown-ups,
Yeah.
a lot of them are probably like 28 or 29. So
That's
like
fair.
Even less, maybe.
She does not look old, but I just perceived it to be like mid-30s. She has that kind of like, the way they were dressing her seemed kind of rather matronly.
Exactly. The way they made her dress with the glasses and the hair when she was in even the car she was driving, that kind of made me feel like they were trying to sell her as about 32, 33.
Yeah.
Which is just fully cradle robbing for her.
I don't think she is as an actress, though, I will say. I was like, well, they put glasses on her.
Do you think she's like in her 20s maybe?
Yeah.
The chat is chiming in, and they are saying mid-20s. 25 seems to be about the average people are going.
Interesting.
And then Charmed Original says the kids are 15 and sophomores. Either way, it's creepy, y'all.
Yeah.
Like 15, 16, 29, 32.
And illegal.
It's all wrong. It's
all
gross.
creepy, all illegal.
Don't do it.
But it's a great point in the story. So
Yes.
No,
it worked thematically. It was great.
yeah, so you have Archie with, is it Miss Grundy or Grundle?
I believe it's Grundle, but chat can feel free to.
I always thought it was Grundy for something. Geraldine Grundy, right? That's her
Maybe
name?
that is.
Let's see what I have here.
He calls her Geraldine.
Yeah,
It's
I like
a-
it calls her by her first name.
Yeah, that's a good move on Archie's part. That's like, I know you. So they were together at Sweetwater Lake at 6 a.m.
Grundy.
boy.
Grundy.
Yeah. When Jason Blossom gets shot. So I guess the initial theory is we all have to assume that Cheryl shoots him.
I mean, she's really set herself up to be the kind of chick that would shoot her brother in the head. And also, we get the lie at the top of the story that she dropped a glove and he tipped the boat, but he was also captain of the Aquaholics. So things are not adding up for Cheryl, and I'm already team like kill Cheryl. So if she goes, it's fine.
Yeah, she's the villain for sure.
Well, I love that it started off very creepy, like culty vibe with these two twins in white in this boat, which clearly
The
isn't
incest twins.
Incest. You didn't mention the creepiest thing that like first happens, where they're just like looking, like gazing into each other's eyes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't
Very
say
incesty.
it. I'm a little over incest at this point. I mean, I do Shadowhunters, and they have a lot of incest on the show.
Got it.
And it's a weird trend. What is happening?
Everywhere.
You guys, it's weird. Can we please stop the incest trend?
Ooh, Charmed Original has a fact for us. Sarah Habel is 34 years old. That's the
34
actress that
years
plays
old.
Grundy.
Okay, that's about what I would have guessed, to be honest with you.
Mid-30s.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I still have a chance then. I'm 29. I'm just kidding, you guys. I will have a chance in about 5 years.
Fair enough. So all right, so we've got Betty and Veronica. So like Betty is like not addicted to Adderall, but her mom's like kind of jamming some Adderall down her
What
throat.
the hell
it
is
seems.
wrong? Can we pause for a moment to just talk about what the hell is wrong with Betty's mother? Like,
Yeah, she's kind of crazy.
she seems very abusive.
She drove Polly Cooper mad.
Yeah.
You know, she destroyed her. She ruined her.
She's very mentally and verbally abusive.
Right.
Of like, you need to stay on track and take your pills. But we haven't seen anything that suggests that Betty is not focused. If anything, she seems to only want to be able to please her mother.
She also just maybe is totally addicted to Adderall and has been for years and is like trying to get off of it. And maybe that's why she's so good at what she does. And maybe she's going to become like a slob when she gets off Adderall. I don't know. Maybe that's something that's going to happen in the show.
I don't know. I think that maybe Betty hasn't been. I feel like Betty hasn't been taking her pills for a long time. I think maybe she's trashing them. Because again, she doesn't show any signs of like addiction. Again, that we've seen in the pilot.
Sure, right.
There's no telltale signs of like, oh, that's troubling, or and there doesn't seem to be any signs of her needing the pills in the first place. So it seems to me that her mom is just trying to keep her sedated, which is weird and creepy. And obviously, we're gonna get more about her sister's background, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what happened there.
Who's the character on Saved by the Bell that got addicted to diet pills? And
Jesse.
Is it
Jesse
Jesse?
Spano?
I'm so excited. That one, yeah.
Caffeine pills, yeah.
Caffeine pills. That's what I saw that and I was like, okay, so you're
I'm so excited.
drawing from the classics.
Yeah.
That's great.
I really hope that doesn't happen.
Well, people in the chat are saying that Betty's mom is just like a psychotic bitch.
She seems like it. Yeah.
That is just generally Alice Cooper is a crazy mom.
Yeah.
That is her name, huh?
Alice Cooper.
Yes.
Sweet, right? Yeah, yeah.
It's like she should just draw a kiss,
Yeah, sure.
face on her face.
All right, so then we got Veronica, who, like, I think so far in the pilot, they definitely wrote her to be a lot more relatable and sweet than I'm used to from the old comics. The old comics, she was just kind of a villain for the most part.
In Archie, she often came across, to me anyhow, as like just the opposing to Betty. Like she was a dark-haired vixen, whereas Betty is like the all-American blonde.
Right.
But in the comics, Betty and Veronica, their friendship is explored a lot.
Yeah.
And so they have this kind of back and forth thing, which is why when the internet saw the lesbian kiss, we were like, maybe they'll just be bisexual together. And I was very excited and I'm very bummed.
I thought that was a pretty funny moment, actually.
That moment worked for me on multiple levels because at first, when I saw it, I was like, okay, let's just not let it be for the enjoyment of boys because that's gross.
Yeah.
And they immediately flipped the stereotype.
Yeah.
Like, that hasn't been taboo since 94. And I was like, this show knows what's up. Like, they're with it.
Were they referencing Wild Things, you think? Was that 94?
You did get a
No,
little...
it's later. Well, I think it's like 97, I think.
Yeah. What? This happens in too many teen movies for me to recount all of them.
It's totally. I mean, yeah. It's the joke is relevant. I actually thought that the comedy in this pilot was totally on point. Like I thought there was like at least 7 moments where I was like, wow, that's. I kind of laughed out loud. Like that's really good
I'm surprised
writing.
at how much pop culture references we had.
Yeah.
And especially, mostly it seemed to be coming from Veronica, and they landed so well. And I was kind of surprised that they make her the comedic relief for a lot of the show.
Yeah, and like Cheryl has the one line. You're like a little too Betty Draper season 5. Like, but yeah, there's
Yes.
She doesn't even say. Kevin gets to say it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that's amazing.
But what's so cool about the comics is that it's almost this Pleasantville vibe.
Yeah,
that
right.
It kind of like happens
Totally.
over and over and over again. And so that makes total sense because this is present day and it's happening over and over and over again. And in a way, I think that's just what happens in high school sometimes. There's a Betty, there's a Veronica. I've always had a Betty.
You've always had a Betty.
Yeah, I am, I'm the Veronica. I've always been the brunette. And then I've always found a best friend. And I'm like, you're my Betty. And they're like, what?
Are they always blonde or something or no?
Yeah, they're always blonde.
They're always blonde. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, just read the comic books. They're like, no, thank
It's like you have to check the boxes. You you kick them to the curb unless they're blonde. All right. So I thought one really interesting thing about this and Archie's relationship to Betty in this episode was that Betty goes for it in the first episode. In the pilot, she tells him how she feels.
Which is a smart move, I think, on
Right.
the writer's part.
Yeah, because it doesn't set up. It kind of starts to set up a little bit of like a Ross Rachel situation where it
Yes.
sets you up from the very beginning. and you're following it the whole show.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Roxy Stryer. I like watched a few episodes of Friends in my life, like 25, and then she's making me watch every episode
As you should,
in
because
order
it's a
right
classic show.
Well, Roxy Stryer is an amazing woman, and Friends is an amazing TV show. So
Yeah, she's
kudos.
the best. So, but anyway, yeah, she always talks about that, how it's so brilliant how they set it up from the very, very beginning, the first episode. And I think in this, it seems like Archie's supposed to end up with Betty by the end of the show. I mean, that like feels like the shot I would call in the pilot, right?
Sure.
And it feels like that's what they set up with that. And the fact that she gets rejected like that, especially because Archie looks over at Miss Grundy, is like that's a big moment.
I feel like I feel like she's not even rejected because first of all, he's a confused teen boy. You do not want to be with that woman. That's complicated and messy. And by the time you can have like a mature actual relationship, it's just not going to work. Don't do that to yourself, Archie. You're just going to play yourself. But even when Betty finally confronts him, like at the end, and she's like, look, just be straight. Like, I don't even care like what happened in the closet. Like, I just want to know what's going on between us.
Right.
And he says like, I'm just not good enough for you. And that tells us a lot about Archie and how he feels about himself, because for being the all-American kid, he plays football, he writes the music, he like works for his dad on the weekends. To think that he can do all of that and still not be good enough for Betty means he puts her on this very, very high pedestal. So obviously, again, like Ross and Rachel, he loves her. He's just not ready to commit to her. He doesn't think he can commit to her, I think.
Right.
I think that's a much more interesting storyline, because as he is going to be solving this murder mystery and learning more about himself and developing, I think you're going to come back and, maybe by that time, Miss Betty will have found somebody else.
Okay, well, here's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
When I watched it, when he said that, I thought to myself, you're right, Archie. You are not good enough for Betty. It's like that girl that's on The Bachelor, that contestant that you're watching, and you're like, you shouldn't be on this show. You're too good for him.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how I feel
There's
about
always
Betty.
like one
Love
doctor. If you watch Unreal, there's like that doctor chick who's
Yes.
like got a master's degree. She's like, I just want to get married. I'm like, but girl, you got everything. Like, just go, be yourself.
Yes. And then someone, let's see, Billie Jean Girl 24 said, Cheryl reminds me of Catherine from Cruel Intentions, which I totally get.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
She's got the classic evil girl vibe. The one thing I was starting to think about this episode was like, they're really setting her up to be evil. So I was thinking, of the characters we've seen so far, who does Cheryl Blossom have a romance with at some point? Who's the character just that
Her
you would...
brother. Just kidding.
Yeah, right. Well, he's gone. It's like, I was trying to think, like, is it do they like juxtapose you with some really weird Jughead thing that happens?
Maybe.
Is it like I figured it couldn't just be obvious. It can't just be like Reggie. Maybe she like uses Reggie at some
Man,
point.
that'd be interesting if she hooked up with Jughead. We know because Spruce has been trying to get his character to become asexual like he is in the comics currently. But we know he has relationships with women from some interviews that he did earlier this month. So that would be interesting to me. And especially if they take Jughead the way he's gone in the comics, which basically in the comics, Jughead was wealthy. He was born really rich.
Yeah.
Parents got hit by the recession. He becomes flat broke. And all of a sudden kids don't want to hang out with him anymore because he doesn't have all the cool stuff he used to have. And he becomes disillusioned with life, and that's why he doesn't hang out with people. He's like, I can't trust any of you guys. You're just after me for the things I have. You don't even care about me, the person. And he's a fascinating character, and he only cares about Archie because Archie is like the golden child. He just loves everybody, and he's just nice to everybody, and he sees him as being genuine. So it'll be interesting to me if Jughead is dating Cheryl, because I think it'll be a ploy for him to get some information, especially since he's writing this book.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the big outer of everybody.
Yes.
He's going to be a good, important character. I hope we can get him on here. When I was a kid and I moved here the first time when I was 17, I worked at Meltdown Comics on Sunset.
Yes.
And Cole and his brother Dylan at that time were on the Sweet Life, and they were kids. I was probably 17, and they had to have been like 12 or something like that. They used to come in every week and buy comics for like a year. So I got to know them really, really well. The sweetest kids. I haven't seen Cole in a long time, but I used to like go visit them on set and stuff like that.
Really the sweetest?
They were really... there you go. But I was like, I like heard that he was in the show, and then I was like watching on screen. I was like, wow, is that Cole Sprouse? I was like, that doesn't even look like Cole Sprouse. I guess he's not, 12 anymore. So anyway...
Things happen.
People grow up. So moving down the line, we mentioned Cheryl a little bit. So it
Yes.
seems like she was in love with her brother. She does say at one point that he was her soulmate.
Yeah. She also has the bereaved widow look.
Yeah, right.
With the little veil over and the black and everything.
Isn't it a little too easy, though, guys?
It would be too easy. I believe there's a twist, and I know that our first red herring is the parents, Betty's parents on the beach, and she's like, if he is dead, I hope he suffered.
Right.
And Betty's mom's cray, so maybe that actually would make me so happy if she shot him. But then why would she keep it covered? I have lots of questions.
Yeah, right, definitely. It feels like, I mean, it's a little too easy to call Cheryl Blossom a red herring, just for the record. But also, on top of the color, like the fact that there's now 2 pieces of evidence tying her to incest and having shot her brother, both of which were just like spoon-fed to us. So you got to think that neither one's true, right?
Yeah, I think that, she probably is one of those things that had those feelings that she wanted to kill him and then somebody else did.
Right. She loved him and hated him at the same time.
But she would never do it. Someone
no.
beat her to the punch.
So, anything else on Veronica before we continue moving down the line? I guess we should probably talk about Veronica and Archie in the closet. That's a pretty important part of the episode.
Yeah.
I love it.
Really?
Sorry. I love Veronica. Like, Veronica, I have Facebook pictures from, 10 years ago being, me and my Betty. Like, Veronica and Betty. I'm
Right.
a total crazy person. I love Veronica. I have always loved Veronica. And I love her in this. She reminds me a lot of Blair from Gossip Girl.
Totally.
Phoebe Tomkin from, the originals and Vampire Diaries. And I looked her up, and she just graduated from Tisch. That's
Really?
it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, she just got out of school from Tisch.
No credits.
No credits, just
good
this.
for her. Good
And
for her.
I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, Veronica's really cool. I like that they didn't make her a typical bitch like we kind of talked about earlier. She's definitely really trying to be Betty's friend. And I also like that they kind of explore this idea of liking someone you're not supposed to.
Right.
And I think they do that really well, especially she's trying so hard in the closet just be like, no, but I like you. And you don't even have feelings for that girl, so why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's cool. What I'm more interested in, actually, though, is her relationship with her mother and her father. And I hope we get to see her father come around and start screwing people up pretty soon.
Yeah, we heard about Hiram Lodge, but we met Hermione Lodge. Hermione Lodge knows Fred Andrews and asks him for a job. He kind of seems to turn her down, but we do get a moment at the end of the episode where Smithers drops off a bag and it's full of what looks to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And she says, "Oh, Hiram." So he got in trouble for embezzlement and fraud, I think, right? That was what it was?
Yes.
And he was arrested, and that's the line on Hiram Lodge. But you have to think maybe that money is money he stowed away.
Yes.
A little bit in the vein of Julie Cooper's dad, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Not her dad, her stepdad from the OC, whose name I can't think of the
Oh,
actor.
you mean Julie Cooper's husband? The one she married that was Ryan's grandfather.
Oh, no, sorry, Marissa's stepdad. Yeah, Julie Cooper's.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, that dude. The old white dude who had all the money in the show.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
his name.
blinking as well, but I'm very familiar.
But a pretty similar character trope of rich guy loses all the money, stows it away. There's some, yeah. So I kind of got that feeling there a little bit. Figure we'll probably meet Hiram fairly soon.
We've got to.
He's one of the only main characters in Archie we didn't meet. I mean, we even saw Dilton Doily, who, by the way, as a kid, forever, I thought it was Dilton Doyle. No one ever said Doily.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's the first time I'd ever heard it Doily. Did you know that?
He was one of those characters where I was like, okay, he happened, and then just moving forward. I don't know if I ever really cared too much
About
to get his
Dilton?
name right. Yeah.
I mean, he was in the
Oh,
comics.
Caleb
Yeah, he's
Nichols.
here, he's around.
Caleb Nichols.
Caleb Nichols, there you
yes, let's see who here in the chat. Wolf and Thief gave us that, so thank you so much.
I love that show.
Me too.
I haven't gone back and done a rewatch in a while.
It's on Hulu.
Yeah, it's a good one. So, all right, continue to move down the line. Let's touch on Josie and the Pussycats real quick.
Yes.
Josie and the Pussycats.
First of all, Josie does not take shit from anybody. She was on it. She's like, this is our look. We're going to be improving upon our brand. And we
Yeah.
do not do covers, so bye.
Yeah, she was sassy.
There was not enough of her in this show. I mean, she was beyond sass. She was in control. I really, really need her to come back and
Yeah.
with lead story. Give her at least a B storyline for me.
If she's,
So,
if
okay.
she's as good as it seems like
We
she
have
will
Ben
be.
as Archie, me as Veronica, and you're Josie.
Okay, I can take
we
that,
do
yeah.
that?
So does that
Absolutely.
mean that when Frank comes back next week, he's
Jughead.
Jughead?
Frank is absolutely Jughead. Come on.
Can't wait to hear what Frank thought. So there will be a spin-off if this show is as big as it seems like it will be.
Oh, my.
For Josie.
That makes sense.
It just seems too easy, right? She
I
was
mean-
so good in her limited screen time in this episode.
Can we just talk about the movie for a quick sec?
The old
For 2.5?
Josie and the Pussycats.
Don't call it
with,
old because that would mean I'm old. I really like Josie and the Pussycats. It's
with
wonderful.
Tara Reid.
Yeah,
And-
everybody says with Tara Reid, but I'm always
and
like,
that girl from She's All That, who I used to have the biggest crush on.
Yes, everyone used to say I looked like her when I was younger.
What the hell is her
They
name?
loved me. Rachel Lee Cook.
Rachel Lee Cook. She was
but
my,
I'm
she was
talking
my
about
favorite.
the other one. Oh my God,
Rosario Dawson.
It's Rosario Dawson's movie. It's amazing.
And I, over Christmas, actually, me and my brother were chatting, and I said to him, what's that movie that's, like, talking about subliminal messaging that I loved? And he's like, Josie and the Pussycats.
Amazing.
And I was like, you know me too well, brother.
They're great characters. I know that we were supposed to see Sabrina on here from...
Right.
Many of you might know her from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She did start in the Archie universe. She's supposed to come on, which means we're getting some more sci-fi elements, hopefully, which is
Yeah.
going to be great. So yeah, I'm excited to see more Josie, and if she got a spinoff, I wouldn't be mad at it.
It was the music in the show was fantastic, and her cover or her
Yes.
song. It wasn't. No, it was a cover.
Yeah.
That she did a cover. That was great. Totally enjoyed that. We didn't see Polly. We only heard about Polly. So that's another one. And then aside from that, that's pretty much... Oh, no. Sorry. We haven't really talked about Moose and Kevin.
Yay!
And Reggie. But
so
Reggie...
there was some... Yeah. Reggie is Reggie. First of all,
relief.
well, here's what I like about Reggie. Reggie is typically played by, like, a white dude bro, and they got an Asian dude bro. And I was like, right on, Reg. Like, get in here. Be awesome and diverse. But Moose... Okay, so there's a lot of people in chat being like, Moose is bi-curious at best. I bet Moose is gay and just not ready to admit it yet.
Well, his line at the end was, like, pretty, like... I mean, everything but kissing. That's a pretty aggressive line for a guy who's like trying some things out. I don't
Moose
know.
was ready to get down on that beach. He's in it 100%. I fully believe that Moose is gay. And Kevin, it's interesting to see Kevin here because I'm more familiar with a adult post-army Kevin,
Right.
who is much more mature, much less gossipy, and not quite as much of a stereotype of like your gay best friend. I'm kind of glad that they made that comment, and I hope that
loved
he becomes.
it.
Well, look. My best friend in high school was gay, and we had really good times, and there was a lot that I could identify in that story, but he was also a fully fleshed person. I feel like Kevin was the most created, what is the right word I'm looking for? He's the most stereotypical of all the characters on the show.
So far, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping
maybe
that he gets rounded
he's
out
the
more.
one that committed the murder.
Wow, that would be quite the twist.
Well, also, we got the line, isn't the gay best friend thing? Isn't that what she
Yeah,
said?
we did, and I like that.
good line,
I
yeah.
like that tip to the hat, and I'm really hoping. It seems like they're gonna flesh him out later, like
Definitely.
here, but he's just a little gossipy for me here first time, so I'm hoping we get more with him later.
This show felt to me like everything that we have continued to see from network television as far as diversity goes, racial diversity, sexual diversity. It's just, we just continue to see more and more of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the original Josie is a white character in the comic, right? She is, isn't she? Or am I forgetting
Yeah,
that?
no, you're right. Josie's a redhead in the comic.
Yeah, totally. So again, it's just nice to see that they're not unwilling to just change it up.
Absolutely.
Unless there's some reason the character has to be one way, they can make anything they want. So, yeah, the Reggie dude bro thing is awesome. I think that pretty much covers everything that we saw in the first episode here.
We did have one question. People
Yeah.
wanted, should we talk about Betty being maybe into self-harm when she bunched her fists together and left scratches on her palms, etc.? Yeah, she either is really, really good at controlling her anger. This is when she's at the cheerleading tryouts, which I did not expect to get emotional about, but I definitely did. And she, when Cheryl's, I'm sorry, I've lost words. When Cheryl's egging her on and trying to get her to, snap, and she's bunched her fist up, and then she's exhales and lets it go. It seemed kind of healthy to me because she didn't draw blood.
Yeah,
it
I
was just,
agree.
it seemed like I just need to get past this moment so I
Highly
can
stressed.
so I can address it properly. I do hope she gets some fire in her spirit, though. Betty, in the current iteration of the comics, has a lot more spirit and a lot more confidence, but her mom is not batshit, so we're
Right.
dealing with a lot of different nuances here.
I didn't pick up on self-harm with Betty. It would seem like with a show that is this far on the front end, sort of like cutting edge of what they're trying to do with interesting storylines, it would be a little bit, I don't want to call it predictable, but it would be a little bit like, it's a little too much to throw that she's got an Adderall problem, she's into self-harm. It would be too much, I think. It would feel like to me. I would be surprised if that was where they were taking it.
If they build it correctly, there's no reason they can't go there. But I agree with you that it's going to have to be really well written in order
Yeah.
for me to buy into it
To not
and
just
not roll
feel
my
like
eyes.
a stereotype character
Yeah.
for high school.
Well,
yeah.
I really didn't like the way Archie treated her.
Betty?
Honestly.
He's kind of a jerk. Yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit.
and
He just zones out at the point when they're at the
Yeah.
diner. He just ignores her. She's like,
my
Because
feelings.
it's your best friend. Yeah, okay, y'all. When you're sitting across the table from your best friend, and like a hottie walks in, like you might get distracted for 2 seconds. You're gonna still be there when hottie is done walking by.
He knew Betty saw him as something different.
He also made out with Veronica, by the way.
Yeah.
After Betty was like, "I love you." Like,
he is not in a good place. He blames himself for the death of this young man. He's having a very like sexually advanced, like not safe or sane like relationship with a teacher. And he's trying to please like, I feel like if anybody's gonna have a breakdown, it's gonna be Archie. Like, juggling like 3 different activities all at the same time, plus school full time, plus kind of a secret relationship, plus this murder on your head, plus your best friend just confessed. Like, Archie's got a lot on his plate. And I don't know. I didn't feel like he was like abusive or overly cruel. I think he's just dealing with a lot.
I don't think he was abusive. I think he was just a little bit of a dick, which a lot of girls in guys in high school are, and girls too.
Yeah.
But
high school's a dickish time for a lot of people.
And just life in general.
Yeah, it's not good to you.
Can be dicks.
All right, so I think that pretty much wraps us up for the recap of the episode. You guys want to get into a little bit of prediction time?
I do.
Yes.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, so let's chat, guys. So I already called my shot. I already called my shot that Archie ends up with Betty at the end of the show. I just like don't see any way.
You're long hauling your prediction.
Yeah.
You're not even like second episode. You're like end of the series.
So that's like an easy slam dunk for me. I think that's a thing that's happening. Another prediction I have is that Archie is going to reveal some of what he knows about this murder situation in a song that's going to get him in trouble.
Oh, I like that prediction. That's good.
Yeah.
I want to steal a ridiculous but also equally awesome prediction from the chat. I think it came from Wolf Thief. When you're like, what if Kevin was what's girl's brother who died, who was shot?
Jason Blossom.
Cheryl?
Yeah. He was like, what if Kevin was Jason's secret lover and he killed him? And I was like, that would be awesome. I would totally be twice as in love with this show already. I think we're going to get more from Jughead next week. I'm really hoping that we get more like, why writing about this book? Like, what happened between you and Archie? Because he has that line where he's, it would have worked for me if you had just come and talked to me.
Good point to point out. So this is just on that line. So the only difference in the script from the 3 scenes that I read for was that one. And the only line missing that they'd cut or wasn't in the episode is the last thing that Archie says as he looks at him is, "I'm so sorry, Juggy. I'm so fucking sorry for everything." That was in the original script. Sorry to make that explicit.
Oh, God. I cannot wait till we rewatch this.
What did you do,
Exactly.
Archie?
So that was cut from the episode. Maybe I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that on air.
I'm sorry, Charmed Original. You had the prediction. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that Betty and Veronica will get closer, and it'll be more heartbreaking to see them both fall in love with the same guy.
Yes.
I also think that the murder of Jason, right? Jason.
Mm-hmm.
It will continue maybe through, I'm not going to say to the finale of this season, because I think they're going to figure it out, but I think they're all going to team up. Everyone's going to seem guilty. Mm-hmm. But I also think that Archie at one point is going to seem guilty.
And see, I think Jason might be the, who shot Laura? I watch Twin Peaks sometimes.
Twin Peaks!
Yeah, and I also think it could be like Wisteria Lane, where, like, that murder mystery is the thing that carries over the entire show. Like, who did it? We won't know until the end. Or maybe we'll never
Or
find
a
out.
secret twin. You never know.
Right.
Crazy
exactly.
triplets.
Yeah, this will be like, okay, great. So I think that'll wrap it up. Guys, where can the folks find you if they want to follow along in the week but before we come back next week?
You guys can find me on SamDavidsonEntertainment.com, Twitter, and Instagram at SamD43.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at BlackGirlNerds.com. If you want to learn more about Archie, you can go over to Book Circle Online, check out Comic Book Exchange, where we do an entire rundown of who Archie is and his history and the company, the Archie Comics company, which is really exciting. They have a diverse, crazy history. And then other shows. Magicians is on Wednesday. Star Wars Rebels is on Mondays, and I don't know. I did all the shows, guys. Just come back to AfterBuzz and watch us. We love you guys.
And guys, if you want to follow along, my name is Ben Bateman. You can find me at Ben Bateman Media on Twitter and Instagram. I'm back here next Wednesday for the return of The 100 Season 4 with Alexis Torres. I'll see you then. Thanks for checking in, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.